the kind you wear it tight. Button up from 9 to 5. I tried that life but said goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says that work can never be fun? I'm simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host, Webby. Joining me tonight, we got Devin.
Hey, everybody, what's up?
Thank you, Devin. I need that. I need your energy right now.
I'm energized. I had coffee. I'm ready. Coffee.
Good. So, Devin, tonight we're going to be doing part 2 of our
Facts.
Overwatch. Last week we managed to get through the tanks, which there were 7.
Yes, it took us an hour to get through 7.
Yeah.
You know.
So we are going to be doing the support heroes for Overwatch this week. There are 6 of them.
So we got this.
Yeah,
And-
we should.
and The only problem is that I kind of consider myself a support main, so we might have some. Yeah.
I mean, one of my mains is technically a support,
Yes.
although I play her very offensively. But we will do the same setup. I have the website from last time that you gave me. We're gonna do the same thing. We'll do them in alphabetical order, and we'll kind of go through and talk about these characters a little bit, what their powers
Sounds
are,
good.
and
Sounds good.
who's
I'm actually in the
meta.
game too. I'm in the game too, so
I am not.
I can look at why I'm here. I'm just in the game sitting here, so I can look and tell you what's going on.
So
I like it.
the first support we have is Ana,
No. Oh yeah, you're right.
Which-
You're right.
which you just had me watch this little Ana video, which I thought was very funny. Something about her being a cat and then putting Soldier to sleep. It's quite entertaining.
Vast oversimplification, but I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
well, I mean, that way people can go and watch it for themselves. Just go Google
not hating.
Ana best
I'm
at.
not hating. It's pretty much everywhere now. Just if you type in Overwatch on like YouTube, it'll probably be one of the first things that pop up. It's everywhere now. So,
I will say, as far as Ana, she is one of my favorite healers by concept, but I am no good with her.
she is, I would probably say, in terms of main Overwatch character, she's probably my main Overwatch character.
Right.
Let's see here. Going under my career profiles.
So again, I'm not sure because I've switched button configurations on my mouse a bunch of times. Ana's main weapon, she has a biotic rifle. Okay.
Yeah, she has a biotic rifle.
So,
and to give you an
essentially-
idea, in competitive right now, I have over other competitive seasons, I have 25 hours on Ana in number 1, which is not that many because some people put 100 hours of her per season,
Right.
but that's what they're much better than I am.
So essentially, her rifle is if you shoot an ally, it will give you a heal over time,
Yes.
and if you shoot an
I believe
enemy, it will
ticks
do
5
a
times.
damage over time.
Yes, I believe the rifle. I believe the rifle. I forgot. Does her rifle do 40 per shot to damage?
It
and
does
50
not
healing?
tell me on this website.
I'll look it up and tell you. I think it is 10 per tick, or they're both 40 and do 15 per, or 60 and do 15 per tick. But I'll tell you in a second.
So that's essentially her primary attack. Right, that's just her common bullets out of her rifle. Her right click is to zoom in with the rifle because it is a sniper rifle ish.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know if it's key bound a different way, but my middle mouse button I have as the sleep dart. Like my scroll wheel button, if I click that in, that is the sleep dart. Anna fires a dart from her sidearm, and it essentially renders an enemy unconscious. Although, very important, and it was in this cat video that I just watched, any damage done to that character will wake them back up.
Yes, and the sleep dart does do damage. It does 5 damage. So there you go.
The sleep dart does 5 damage?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
So you can kill someone with a sleep dart if they're super low in HP.
Did you happen to know how much the regular
Yes.
bullets do?
Yep. Each bullet does 70 damage to the enemy and does 75 healing to your ally.
Okay.
And she has two modes of fire. If she's zoomed in, she's. Did you already talk about that or no?
I didn't. I told
Okay.
people I said that you could zoom in like with a sniper,
Okay.
like a sniper rifle.
Well, if you hit fire, she has. If you hit fire, she has a. What do you call it? It's a not hit skin. It's projectile. She has a projectile weapon, basically. But there is advantages to doing it. Like for instance, if you're trying to hide, if you shoot from the hip, there's no trail off your bullet if you shoot for the hip. So you can heal your allies without people knowing where you're coming from. Or hurt. If you're healing with zoomed in, you get a trail, which is yellow for you and I think purple for the enemy. And they know where you're. They can look at the trajectory and see where you're coming from. But you have the advantage of it being instantaneously hit scan, where if you're on them and you click, you hit them. Now, when you do damage, you have to hit exactly pinpoint on the reticule. If you're doing allies, there's a larger triangle reticule outside of her scope range. And if you're not scoped in, there's just a invisible box around her reticule that you can't really see, but it's there. That basically, as long as you're in the proximity of your teammates, you will heal them. So you don't have to be pinpoint. You don't have to be pinpoint accurate with your shots with Ana to heal. Specifically, especially if you're zoomed in, you don't have to be pinpoint accurate. Like if you're healing somebody at range, just zoom in is going to be better. You don't have to be pinpoint. So if you look at Ana's reticule, Webby, when she zooms in, you'll see the reticule in the middle, and you'll see that the triangle box directly on the outside of that.
Right. Yeah, I knew that part.
Yeah, that triangle box will heal allies.
Right.
Anything in there, you don't have to hit them. Anything in there. But if you're zoomed in and you shoot, you're going to get that trail.
Yeah. That's the part I did not know about.
I learned that watching Jane, because he had ML7 on his stream. Jane's an Overwatch coach for the Dallas Fuel. I watch his streams a lot because he drops some good knowledge, and he has a lot of pros on and other people on, like top-ranked people. So he had the number one Ana on, who's ML7. Like really just big brain. The guy has a big brain. Like he's just super. Everything Ana, he just knows. And what I like about him the most is in ML7 the most. He's not one of those people. He's not super statistics. He's not like, oh well, from this range, you're better off doing this. He's just like, nah, I just have a feel for it. Like I just know what it is. Like he had no idea how much damage her rifle actually did. He just knew like it killed in 3 shots. He didn't really care. He's like, I just care about my personal playing. I don't care about
stats.
What stats and what this does. He's like, I don't care. Which is really cool. Like hearing that from someone at that level is really cool because I feel like when you get to a certain level, you really hard zoom in on like stats and hard zoom in on like average.
Fuck it.
Yeah, I know exactly. But I'm saying most people like I really like hearing that he didn't really care. But yeah, so he taught me that about if you're zoomed in, you get that trail. If you're zoomed out, you don't. So I was like, oh, that's a good thing to know.
So what Devin's trying to tell all you listeners is get good, noobs. That's all.
I mean, I tell that to myself. I'm also a noob.
The third ability of Ana's is her biotic grenade.
Strongest weapon in the game.
Yeah, I do love this thing.
It is the best weapon in the game. The only thing that sucks about it is, and this is why I honestly believe, I think Ana they should give Ana like, I would say maybe half her health bar in shields. Because the problem with Ana is that she's the only support that can't passively heal herself.
Yeah, she essentially has to use this grenade to heal herself. Yeah,
which it's the best thing in her kit. So it's like, if you use it, and this is the thing, her using that on herself, the second, like at higher levels, this is where things get iffy. If you throw it down, it's an audible cue. The second people hear that, they know that Ana can be dove. She's really diveable. Like if a Tracer and a Genji or a Tracer and a Winston jump her, she can't really do anything. With a grenade, she can, because she hits the grenade. It does 60 damage to Tracer. She has to recall, because then she takes 2 shots, she's dead immediately. And then Winston, you put him to sleep. So you put Winston to sleep, nade on the ground, or nade on the ground first, put Winston to sleep, then you can deal with the Tracer. She has to recall. That ends that effectively. And then, but hopefully your team, as soon as you sleep the Winston, you call it out. Team's coming to help you out. So the biggest problem is a 10-second cooldown. And you throw it on the ground. It heals you for 100 health. And then you have plus 50% healing from other sources.
Okay.
The only problem is, again, like I said, it's her only way to heal herself outside of health pack farming. So Ana really needs to stay back out of the fight the most she can, because she can't heal from. She has the advantage of being the longest range healer in the game, but at the same time, because pretty much with her being hit together, I don't think she has any. Does her have any range on it? No. It doesn't. I don't think it does. Yeah, no, it doesn't have actual range. So if you can theoretically, like, from the back of, like from one side of Volskaya to the other side of Volskaya, if your Fair's flying in the air and you can, like, she's like 2 pixels on your screen, if theoretically you can make the shot, you can heal her from back there.
Now, do you think it would be too overpowered or a good idea if they did something along the lines of, if you damage an enemy with your bullet, your damage over time, then you gain a portion of that back as life?
Yeah, just like Moira or Brig. Just like Moira or Brig. Brig,
Right.
Every time she lands a hit, she heals, I think, 7 HP.
Right.
Moira is the same thing. As she does damage, she does damage, she heals, I think, 5 or 10 HP, which makes her really tanky because she's hard. She does 50 damage per second, and then I think she heals 30 HP a second or something like that.
Right.
So if you're like a 200 HP hero, you have to basically just burst her down immediately because you're gonna die.
Right. Yeah.
Relatively quickly. Yeah. I mean, the only thing about her is, like, that's the only thing that makes her super difficult to play, and that's why she's probably one of the highest, if not probably the highest skill cap hero. Like, Mercy has a passive. If she's not doing anything, she heals.
Well,
Brig,
she does, according to this website, she does have a difficulty of 3 stars.
yes, she does. You're right. But Mercy has ability where, as long as she's not getting hit after 1 second, she starts healing 50 HP a second. Zenyatta has shields. To a 3/4 of his health bar is shields, which automatically regenerate. So as long as he doesn't take more than 150 damage, his health is never in jeopardy. Because as soon as he's out of the fight and he's not getting hit for a second, his shields instantly regenerate, so it's not a big deal.
Right.
Then you have Lucio. He just swaps his aura over and he's healing. You have Brig. Like I said, every time she hits, she heals. And am I missing a support? No.
Nope.
Mercy. Moira. She heals. She has 2 ways to heal, just by doing damage or throwing down her heal orb. Which is always better than the damage orb, just saying. But yeah.
All right.
Actually, she has 3 ways to heal. Her ult heals her. Her orb heals her. And her actual basic attack heals her. She has 3 ways to heal. So, there you go.
Speaking of ults, Anna's ult is called Nano Boost.
Essentially,
Essentially, she shoots a dart of adrenaline into an ally, and for a specified amount of time, they deal more
8
damage.
seconds.
Huh?
For 8 seconds.
8 seconds. They deal more damage and take less damage from enemy attacks.
Yep, they deal 50% damage increase. They have a 50% damage reduction done to them, and they instantly gain 300 health.
Oh. It's a very powerful ability.
That's why it was nerfed. Well, they nerfed it and then gave it the health. It didn't used to heal the health, but it used to give them the speed. Remember the speed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to give the speed. But the only problem with the speed was that it enabled way too many fights, like to the point where it was almost unstoppable. Like you just every time you would just give it to Reinhardt, he's your slowest moving tank at the time, and he would just run into the enemies and just slam them, not taking any damage because they can't hurt him. And Ana's just throwing a grenade down and just healing them constantly, and he basically would force them to engage.
Yeah.
Where now you have to hit somebody going into the fight, or like a diva or somebody going into the fight kind of thing, where are the fight's already happening. You do that, and then they're forced to deal with it, not the other way around, where like you just can pre-ult them effectively, and your Reinhardt just charges like a dumbass fool straight on in.
Yeah.
But it works out this time because he can. and just survives. And so they had to change that up, especially with the Beyblade meta for a while, which was just Reaper and that because Reaper
yeah.
get us all. Reaper used to gain life back for every. He still gains life back for every damage all the damage he does. So he did 50% more damage. So he gained 50% more life. Then, also, he was 50% less harder to kill. But because he gained life, and he was super fast. So he would just run. You got all in front of the barrier and just speed through the barrier before you had a chance to do anything about it. So he was just wiping teams.
Yeah.
So it got kind of crazy.
So that's Ana.
Yes.
Where is she in the meta right now? Is she in the meta?
She
used a lot?
In goats? No. Well,
fucking goats. We all learned what
she
goats was last week.
In goats, you can use Ana. It's hard. She's not out of nobody's gonna bitch if you pick her. But I would say this: if you're below diamond and you pick an Ana, and this is even myself sometimes, but I've been working on mechanics. I would be skeptical having an Ana below diamond on my team unless I knew the player.
Right.
Because not every, contrary to popular belief, not every player in lower ranks has bad mechanics. So they can be mechanically very good, and they're just down, in lower ranks because of other reasons, like myself. I'm not mechanically perfect, but I'm not terrible.
So Devin, I'm gonna start playing nothing but Ana.
How dare you? Don't take my main from me. Don't
Too
take
late.
my main from me. All right. Well,
You've been playing Hanzo a lot lately.
I play Hanzo on my other account.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Ana's fine.
I'm gonna play Ana all the time now.
All right, you go for it. I give you like a day. You could be like, "Fuck this."
No, I'm already over it.
Like,
moving on to the next support, which is my main support. Brigitte.
Brigitte, yeah.
Brigitte.
I like calling her Brigitte.
So Brigitte specializes in armor. All right.
She does.
She essentially throws repair packs to heal. That's her E ability. You throw a repair pack and it heals an ally. Any healing over that ally's maximum health provides them with armor instead.
Yes. Si, senor.
Her main attack, her left click, is this flail. It's a rocket flail, apparently.
It's just like Reinhardt's hammer, but a flail.
Yeah. And it's on this long-ass chain. It's great. I love it. It's the best. Her right click is essentially
Brigitte
the same
is a character
as
that was
Reinhardt.
made for you. Like she's a character that was kind of made for you.
Yeah.
She is like the support that was made for you. Like if Webby's forced to play a support, it's never a bad thing. Like Brig is the support that's made for him.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, okay.
And she's even a mechanic.
Now, that's true. Now, Devin.
Yes.
How, in your opinion, how do I do when I play Brigitte most of the time?
I mean, you do fine. You absolutely do fine. You do. Brigitte has two purposes, and there's two ways to play Brigitte. Well, there's more than two ways to play Brigitte. I'm not a Brigitte pro, but I'm gonna say for my oversimplification of it, there's two ways to play Brigitte, and that's kind of in the back, being a peeler.
I can't do that.
So, yeah, in the back, being a peeler. So because she's not a main support, she cannot main support help somebody. So like a Brig and a Zenyatta by themselves, you're gonna be a little starved for healing, but it can happen. But you're gonna be a little starved for healing. But like a Brig Ana is actually a really good team.
There we go, Devin. You play Ana all the time. I'll play Brig. We'll be the supports for the team.
This is the problem though. The reason why Brig's a great support to back up, like she works great being directly ahead of Ana, but still kind of behind the team. Like Brig works best, like in my opinion, like when I play Brig, I play her kind of like burst. So I'll like I'll run past the Reinhardt shield, or I'll run up in the fight, stun someone, get a couple good hits in it, and then I back out. And I'm not saying I can't take it with Brig, but Brig's main job, if you play her the way she should, like most off tanks, their main job is to, outside of like Zenyatta, is to peel. So basically, if like I'm an Ana and I get dove, or I'm a Zenyatta and I get dove, by Winston or Tracer. As Brig, it would be your job to like hop in and be like, if you stayed back with me, the one way to play her is to stay back and like, oh hey, my other support's getting dove, my main support's getting dove. I'm gonna go over there and deal with the person.
Right.
So like if a Genji jumps in behind, like you wreck Genji. Genji can do nothing against you, right?
Right.
Tracer, same thing. Like because she has no HP. Well, less so now that they nerfed her shield bash because it used to do 50 damage. Now it only does 5. When it did 50 damage, Tracer was screwed because you could literally do shield bash, one whip, or one whip, shield bash, whip shot, instantly dead. Because it was 50 damage, one hit was 35, so that was 100 and what? 50 damage, it was 85, and then you did 70 damage from your whip shot, which was 155. So there you go. So, or 106, 90, 190? 165, whatever it was, 170, whatever it is, math. You did more damage than she had health.
Cheeky, I'm gonna ask you, please check on Devin's math and report.
I can check on my own math. Let me see. 35.
No,
hold on.
this is Cheeky's job. She loves math.
70. 105 plus 50 is 155. There we go. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. All right. We're good. We're solid. All right. So yeah, you did more health. You did more damage.
I mean, they did nerf the shield bash, which I mean, I'm not.
They're
I'm not
constantly
psyched
nerfing
about,
Brig.
but
They're constantly nerfing Brig because she came in super powerful and then they fucked up. She came in super powerful and she single-handedly enabled goats. She is the reason goats exist. So they nerfed her. They nerfed her. She's just her third nerf, fourth nerf, fourth, one of the two. Her first nerf was they changed it where she couldn't charge through shields anymore because you used to be able to stun through shields.
right, yeah,
They changed that, that was a good change because that was really dumb because effectively if one team had a Brig and a Reinhardt and the other team didn't have a Brig and a Reinhardt but they had a Reinhardt, your Reinhardt could land free Earth Shatters because it would just be like, all right, Brig, I got my Earth Shatter. Brig runs up, stuns the Reinhardt through his shield. He drops shield, and then you just drop the hammer. Done. Every time. So basically, Brig Reinhardt was like the best combo, and that's where you play the more like aggressive Brig. Basically you pocket Reinhardt, you stay with Reinhardt, and you pocket him because you have similar ranges. And every time you hit, you can repair pack him, and every time you hit, you both passively heal. If I'm not mistaken, she has a passive heal. Yeah. So within a 20-meter radius, every time she hits, she heals 60.67 health per second. So everybody in that 20-meter radius of her heals 16.67 health per second every time she hits something. So that's the second way to play Brig, going back to that, is kind of with Reinhardt. Like a Reinhardt pocketed by a Brig is kind of a hard combo because they both hit pretty fucking hard. And they both kind of have like that weird like CC when you get hit where like you're not really CC'd, but it's hard as fuck to get away.
right.
Unless you have like an immediate like run. Like Soldier can do it most of the time. Reaper can do it. Mei can do it, but not really.
Ice wall.
Yeah, like Ice Wall or just Snowman until somebody fucking comes over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, Brig is a really good support, and she can play two roles. So if you want to be like a passive Brig, you can totally be a passive Brig. If you want to be a really aggressive Brig, you can totally be a really aggressive Brig. Especially if you're running like a Brig Lucio.
Which one am I, Devin?
You're the aggressive Brig. That's why I love running Lucio with you, because I play a really aggressive Lucio. So, and the thing about aggressive Brig and aggressive Lucio is, as long as Brig is constantly in the fight, and as long as Lucio is constantly like with the team, they both have similar healing radiuses. So every time she's hitting in Lucio, I think they pump out like 50-ish HP per second to the whole team, and that's not with Lucio like upping the beat.
Right.
Or like that's not with him that's not with Lucio amping it up. I can check on that in like 2 seconds, but that's not with Lucio amping it up. But yeah, I mean, otherwise you're in for a bad time if you have a Brig that's just like a Brig by herself up front is good. But if you have like a Lucio or Brig's not in the fight, she's like hanging back and you're like an aggressive Lucio, is not going to be enough healing. The only time it's going to be enough healing is legit is if it's both of you are going to be there. That's why I don't usually play Lucio with Brig.
I will say one of the main reasons why I'm such an aggressive Brig, I think, is because 90% of the time, so the majority of the time.
So, real quick here, just to correct myself, it would be about 32.5 health per second within 12 meters of Brig and Lucio. So
Cheeky
they're right
check
next to
the
each other.
math.
No, it is. It's 16. Well, it's 32.5 or whatever because it's 16.1 health per second, and then she does 16.67, so 16.77 or 32.77 health per second. If you're within 12 meters, because her range is 20, Lucio's range is 12. So if you're within 12 meters, that. But if Lucio amps it up, it bumps it to 48.
So wait,
0.3
Brig's
health per
passive
second.
healing ability from hitting people is larger than Lucio's radius?
Yes.
Wow. See, that blows my mind because whenever I'm Lucio, you actually see the radius for Lucio, but you don't see the radius for Brigitte.
They don't. Yeah, they did that intentionally. Because Brig is usually unless you're by yourself and your team is dumb and not in the fight with you, there's nowhere on the map where like your team, as long as everybody's in the team fight, they should be getting your heals just about. Maybe outside of like a Widow or a soldier who's like chilling in the back or like a McCree, but like if everybody's in the team fight, there's no reason why you wouldn't be.
Right.
Because like if I stand in the center of like a point with Lucio, I get almost the entire point. Like if we're doing like 2CP.
Right.
If I'm standing in the center of the point, Lucio pretty much covers the whole point, just about. The only one that's a little sketchy, I think, is Temple of Anubis' second point is like a little sketchy in terms of how much area coverage he has. But yeah, so I mean that's that. But also too, he can with him amping it up, he can heal up people pretty quickly.
Right. So like I was saying, I think the majority of the time, the reason why I'm such an aggressive Brigitte is when I first, at least especially when I first started playing her, I would get into these situations where, no one would push, no one would advance on either the point or the payload. No one was like progressing. So then I would just run in there, and then right after me, a tank would decide, well, there goes my healer, I might as well go. And then the tank would follow. And then the rest of the DPS are like, well, everybody else is going, let's just go.
Yeah, you grab the team by the balls and you pull them into the fight. Like that, sometimes that happens. Like that's the thing with being a support. Man, I see that shit all the goddamn time. Like, there's numerous times where I've had to drop the beat just to initiate the fight because like our team won't move. I'm like, guys, come on, we gotta get in there, go. All right, fuck it, drop the beat, let's go. And then they run in and like, oh, I have extra health. Like I wasted this, but it got you in the fight. So,
I mean, it dawned on me, we've kind of haphazardly talked about all of her abilities already. So
yeah, we have
left click. You get a flail. It's a big, wide, arcing strike. You hit multiple people with it at a time. It's just a long swing.
Yep.
Right click
get a shield.
is your shield. It's essentially It's essentially a small Reinhardt shield.
It's a personal Reinhardt barrier.
Now,
it's really not.
If you're holding down your right click and then you left click, you shield bash. So once you dash forward, you can stun an enemy if you hit them with shield bash. Now it does significantly less damage. I use it a lot of the times, and like then you mentioned it to me. I was like, yeah, that's how I use it. I didn't know that's how you're supposed to be using it, but a lot of the times, like I'll use it to try to get to the point faster. Like if I've died, I just respawn and then I'll just start shield bashing to get there as fast as I can.
Yeah. You just hop. Hop. And I think if you hop, you go a little bit further with shield bash. I'm not 100% sure about.
Her E button is the repair packs. She throws repair packs that gives people health and armor.
Yep.
Her left shift button is the whip shot. So essentially, she just throws her flail straight in a straight line ahead of you, but for a much longer distance.
It goes 20 meters.
As opposed to her normal swing, whatever that happens to be.
The normal swing is 6 meters.
Where do you find these stats?
I'm on the Overwatch wiki.
Well, I'm on the Overwatch site that you sent me last week. It does not have these stats.
Yeah, I know. I'm on the actual wiki.
So this whip shot will deal damage and knock an enemy away from you.
Yes.
Lots of times I have used it where I'll knock enemies off the map.
That's what I should use it for, and I agree with you. That's a great way to use it. The only thing that sucks on my end, I'm not going to lie, I suck with the whip shot. Like, I don't know what it is with me in the whip shot.
I'm pretty good with it now. I love it the most when I jump up and I shield bash somebody and get right in their face and I start swinging, especially Soldier 76, because they always think that they immediately, once I get in there, they'll drop their health thing, but then they realize they're not healing as fast because I'm fucking swinging on them. So then they'll start to run, and then I fucking whip shot them in the back of the head and kill them from behind. I love it when I kill people like that. It's like, oh, you're running for your life? Bam! You're dead. Anyway, and then her ultimate, her Q ability, is Rally. Now, this has changed
Also getting nerfed.
based off
It's
of
not
this.
nerfed yet, but it will.
Now, this has changed based off of what I'm about to read, because, again, I'm on an old website, apparently, that Devin sent me. He likes sending me old material.
No, it's not old.
Well, Brigitte moves faster, which is true, and provides all nearby allies with armor that lasts until it is removed by damage. That
That's
has
true.
been changed. You told me that has been changed
No,
where
that
it no
is in the
longer
PTR.
lasts.
No, it does.
I thought
does.
last time we played, you were like,
Webby,
that no
Webby,
longer
that
lasts
it's
indefinitely.
in the PTR, which everything in the PTR comes live. So it's not live yet, but in the next major update to Overwatch, it will be live.
All right.
So
essentially, she moves around much faster, and she holds her little flail up like a flag, and she gives everybody in whatever radius it is armor. So now, Devin, I don't know if we talked about this last week. No, we most certainly had to have, because it was the tank week last week. What is the difference between armor and shields?
our shield regenerates, armor reduces damage. If you want to listen to specific numbers for it, you can go back to.
Yeah, but do shields also reduce damage?
No, they don't. Shields regenerate. They don't regenerate. They don't.
So shields are essentially just act as a buffer for life?
Shields are just it's regenerating life.
Oh. Okay. Alright, so that was Brigitte in a nutshell. My favorite support. One of the few that I'm good with. Next one on the chopping block is, I know, one that Devin loves playing, and I also love playing, at least on certain maps. We have Lucio. So, Devin, Lucio has a sonic amplifier gun. Dude, he beats people with music.
He does.
Okay. He hits enemies with sonic projectiles with his left button, or if you use your right mouse button, you do a sonic blast of sound and you can knock enemies back. Also very handy for knocking people off the map or into pits.
Mm-hmm.
So Lucio has two different modes. When you start the game, he is in green aura mode, which is his movement speed buff. If you hit left shift, you can switch modes using crossfade into the yellow, which is the healing mode. His E ability, what's the speed increase on his speed buff?
If it's
Without
not
amping,
amped,
yeah, without
if
amping
it's not
it up.
amped, it's 30%.
And then when you do amp it,
70.
wow. All right. So a very common tactic in most maps is, if you're Lucio, the second the gate opens on your little spaceship thing, you amp up your movement speed. You try to get on point as fast as possible.
Which is actually, depending on what you're doing, it's not actually what you want to do with that.
No?
No, I mean, you can, depending on the map. If it's a map where it's like, okay, we're going to get there about the same time anyway. Like if it's like a payload map, you really want to utilize. You're best off utilizing Lucio's speed boost to engage and disengage. That's why what makes Lucio's usually pretty good shot callers.
Okay.
Because you basically like, oh, let's engage this fight, right? Let's engage the fight. So you would speed boost and engage the fight. You know, help your team push through the choke, or just like slam into them.
Right. Now, amping it up, that's his E ability. Essentially, it increases the volume on his speakers, and it boosts the effects of his songs that he's currently playing, i.e., his crossfade, his two different auras. So if you're on the movement speed and you amp it up, you'll go faster. If you're on the healing and then you amp it up, you'll heal for more. And then, man, I really enjoy his ultimate ability, but dude, is there a fucking wind up time to that? And I don't know how many times I've died winding up through that animation, and then the fucking ultimate gets wasted.
No, it depends on so the wind up time is actually not that long. It just really depends on if you jump from a higher ledge or anything like that. Like if you just you do a little bunny hop when you do it, you do a little bunny hop and then you drop it. The problem is if you're over like a gap or something, it'll carry you over the gap. It'll carry you over the gap. It'll do like if you're in the air, it'll do that. If you're wall riding and drop the beat, it'll take forever because you're like super high off the map, kind of a deal.
Yeah, but I mean, it still seems sluggish when you're doing it. Even if you're doing it from ground level, you jump up in the air, you raise your hand, and then you come back down, you slam it to the ground, and that's when the ultimate comes off. So if you're ever caught, if you ever catch a Lucio and he's about to do that and he's relatively low life, it's pretty easy to pick him off right in the middle of that. I mean, it's happened to me a bunch. I know that.
I mean, every now and again, but it's not one of those things you should be using immediately. That makes sense,
right?
If you're already in the fight, you probably shouldn't be using it because that's just gonna end badly. Like if you're already if you're being solo focused out,
right?
Not the time to use it.
Well, I mean, I usually use it. Like my main use of it would be on capture points, and if we're holding the point and then the enemy team, that time's running out, so they're gonna make a big push. I usually try to sound barrier, so that way our team has a little extra shields going in, to be able to soak up some of that damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It all depends on your team too. That's one of the things that depends on your team. Because if your team is being super dumb, it's not even worth doing it until you're actually in the fight. Because there's a lot of teams that won't move. They just stand there. They won't fucking move.
Yeah. So one of the cool abilities with Lucio is something Devin just mentioned: his ability to wall ride. So he roller skates around on the map, and essentially, if you jump up against a surface and then you hit the spacebar a second time, you'll start wall riding on the wall. So this works really well on maps like Nepal, where they have the pit in the middle. So if you're knocked into the pit, or if you're hooked into the pit by a roadhog and you're close enough to the edge, you can wall ride your way out of that and not actually die. Other times you can wall ride up to the ceilings of places and then get to drop on people, and then hopefully right click and sonic amplifier them off the ledge or into a pit of their own. I'll watch Devin when he's wall riding. He just wall rides for the sake of wall riding. Yeah.
I mean, you use wall ride because you can wall ride to get anywhere in the map, just about.
Right.
You can wall ride through the on the outside of the map completely. You can wall ride through the outside of the map completely. Just to get around to the enemy's flank and shit. I do it all the time.
Right.
Super fun.
So that's Lucio. The next support up on the block is Mercy. So Mercy has an ability, a special ability as well, where she can... I forget how to actually do it. What is it? You hit spacebar, and then you can essentially hit the spacebar again, and it'll slow your fall. You'll essentially have a slow fall, and then you can hit left shift on an ally, and you'll fly towards them. So she pairs very well with people like Farah, you know.
Yeah.
So
I
as
mean,
Farah's flying
Mercy's
around,
just good in general, but yeah.
yeah, and she has very good map presence because she can fly from pretty significant distance away. So she can fly right in. Her E ability allows you to resurrect a dead ally and bring them back with full life. So if you can manage to pull that off, the enemy team could have killed your tank and then they rush in on point. You fly in to where the tank was, resurrect, and now your tank's back, and you just run back in and wreck the enemy team. Hopefully, her main weapon. She has two different weapons. She has the staff and the blaster. Does that say the caduceus staff? That's the name of that?
The Kata staff?
Well, there's definitely a U in there.
Or the Cadia staff? Yeah. Not the Caduceus, like the Cadia staff or whatever.
Caduceus? Hey, whatever. Anyway, her staff has two essentially settings. Left click is you will heal whoever you're pointing it at. You'll see this yellow beam go from the edge of the staff to them. It literally connects you, and you'll start healing them. Your right click is a blue beam, which will give them a damage buff, and they'll essentially just do more damage. And then if you use a mouse wheel, you can switch from the staff to your blaster, and you become Battle Mercy, and you start shooting people with a gun. Essentially, that's all of her real abilities except for her ultimate. Her ultimate, she gains the ability to fly indefinitely, well, for the length of the ultimate, and her abilities are enhanced. So I'm guessing what that means, Devin, is she heals for more and she gives you a bigger damage buff, but also she can give it to multiple people.
Yes.
I actually don't mind that ultimate. I like that ultimate way better than her last one. Because her last ultimate used to be you could just run in and res all dead allies. Like, all at once.
Yeah.
Now they gave her the resurrect ability, but she
then they
use
broke
it
with
on
Valkyrie.
one person.
They totally broke with Valkyrie. When they first came out with Valkyrie, it was OP. It was ridiculous. It was almost worse than resing your whole team. Because it was just so much healing you could not. You basically would just Valk and just push into a point and not die.
Yeah. Now Mercy does do passive healing as she's using her abilities, correct? As she's healing?
Yes.
Okay. Does she also heal when she's doing damage buff? Or
As long as she's not taking damage.
Oh, it's only just
as long as she's not taking damage. As long as she's not taking damage, she's healing.
All right.
Like, that's the thing about Mercy. As long as she's not taking damage, she's healing.
All right. So apparently, according to this website, she's a 1-star hero as far as difficulty. I've never been great with her. I always actually found her kind of hard to play.
I've gotten better with her, but I'm not amazing with her just because she's one of those people you literally just got to sit back and do nothing. Like,
right.
That's okay. That's a harsh thing to say to people that play Mercy a lot. It's not true. You do a lot, but it's you. And that's really why there's a hashtag going around, like hashtag Rework Mercy. Nothing you do really feel like you have impact. You're just healing. Like, I'm healing, I'm damage buffing, I'm healing, I'm damage. Like, yeah, you can super jump, you can do all the other cool stuff. That's not necessarily a part of the kit, but like it's like tech that goes with the kit. But it's at the end of the day, you're just like, I'm here, I existed, I did something, right. I did a thing. Mercy,
which,
Mercy,
I mean, to be fair, that's
like,
always what you say about Lucio. Lucio's only job is to exist.
Well, that's the running joke of Lucio, is to exist, because he just passively he does shit passively.
Right.
So even if you're the worst Lucio, as long as you stay alive and exist, you're contributing to your team. So unless you're like in the back of your team in your spawn, like throwing the game, you're contributing something,
right,
on some level.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were just a rando,
You lost your train of thought there, did you?
I did. If you're just some rando, like, just in the back, fucking, I can't. I was trying to thought. I have no idea what I was saying. What was I saying, Webby?
Something about existing. Like Lucio, just no matter what, just by being there, he's
Yeah,
contributing
there
to
you
the
go.
team.
Just by being there, he actually does. He contributes to the team. Like, even if he's not killing, he's just dancing in the back, like dancing with the team, like never shooting a shot, never doing anything. He's contributing to the team because he's either speed buffing, or
Speed boof.
speed boof. He's speed boofing or he's heal boofing.
All right. Well, that's it about Mercy. She's a character that I wouldn't mind. I mean, if you have a really good Mercy, it makes fights a lot harder on the enemy.
Facts.
I wouldn't mind getting, better with her. I always feel bad because, everybody plays this game. You kind of want to win, and there are other healers, other support characters that I know I'm better with. So, I mean, one of these days I just have to force myself to sit down and play these other supports that I'm not great with. The next support we're going to talk about is Moira. I know this is Devin's favorite, one of Devin's favorite supports.
False.
Really? You loved Moira.
She's not bad, but I mean, she's at higher level. She's borderline useless, and that's my problem with her.
Oh, whatever.
Like she's objectively the worst healer in the game.
Well, tell us why.
Just for what she can do at later levels is she lacks the versatility to really change it up. Like in terms of damage, like Lucio can out heal her if done right. Ana can definitely out heal her if done right. Like she's a main healer, but in terms of main healer, she's the worst main healer. Every other main healer provides more to the team than what she provides. Like she gives like some utility.
But based off this video I'm watching, she runs like Naruto.
I don't give a fuck about that. It means nothing to my playing ability.
You don't care about her ninja run?
No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
Well, let's talk about some of her abilities. First, you get her left and right clicks. She has biotic grasps. So her right click her left click is...
her range is dumb.
Which one's which? The left hand is the damage... No, the left click is the healing, right? I don't remember now.
Her range is dumb. That's all I know. Her range is stupid.
Now, using her left hand, she shoots out this blast of yellow energy, which has a little fuel bar on it, and you can heal allies that are in front of you. Her right hand fires a long-range beam weapon that saps enemies' health, healing her and replenishing her biotic energy, which then you can use to, use the other beam. I will say Devin's not wrong. The range, even though it does say fires a long range beam, in this description it should say fires a stupid long range beam, because it is dumb how long this thing does go for. Her other ability, one of her next abilities, is her biotic orb. Essentially, I think it's the E button. You hit the E button and she'll create either a yellow orb in her left hand or a purple orb in her right hand. Now you have the choice. Do you click the left button? Do you click the right button? Do you take the blue pill? Do you take the red pill? If she shoots the yellow orb, anybody who is all allies around it, as it travels, it will start replenishing their life until the orb is diminished. Vice versa for the purple orb. Any enemies around it will start sapping their life until the orb is diminished. It does bounce off of things, so if you get an enemy team who's hiding inside of a fucking room for whatever reason, and you angle this right, our purple orb's just going to whip around that room, bouncing from wall to wall, killing the enemy team.
Yep, pretty much.
She has her left shift ability, which is her fade. She essentially does kind of like a Reaper fade, just much faster and much
Much
shorter.
faster and much further.
I thought it was shorter.
It
Reaper does it for
is-
longer.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it probably is longer, but hers is way harder to track. One of my
Yeah.
favorite things to do with her is just to do it and stand still, because then people think you disappeared, you didn't.
I'll have to try that. I never even thought about that. And then they turn around looking for you, and you just throw
Exactly,
another
that's
orb.
exactly what happens. You just do it and stand still. You're like,
Oh
what?
man, I never even thought about doing that. Shit. And then her ultimate ability is called Coalescence. She channels a long range beam that both heals allies and bypasses barriers to damage her enemies. So essentially, she puts her hands together and fires both beams at once. That does go right through. That'll go right through a Reinhardt barrier. Yeah, obviously.
Yup.
And yeah, it does quite a bit of damage. So it's pretty rough. That's Moira in a nutshell. I know that's Avalos' favorite healer. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm not gonna assume anything anymore. I'm done.
No, I think you're right. Yeah.
I'm done assuming
Why are you done assuming?
because I've been wrong so many times.
You're not wrong though.
And well, lastly, we got one more healer to talk about, and that's Zenyatta. I've actually gotten better with Zenyatta. I've put in a little bit more time with him. I still play very aggressive, even with him. I tend to do pretty well damage-wise with him.
Yeah, I mean he's not the hardest hero in the world to get right damage wise.
As
Once
far
you
as
learn his-
difficulty, he's
once you learn
on
his
par with
orb-
Ana.
Once you learn his orbs, like once you learn how to aim his orb, he's real not easy, but he's real like he's different.
Yeah. So he's a three-star difficulty like Ana, but Zenyatta calls upon the orbs of harmony and discord to heal his teammates and weaken his opponents. So his left click, his main primary attacks is he has Orb of Destruction. So with his left click, you can quickly fire projectiles, these orbs, individually, or you can hold down the right click button and charge up and shoot and essentially rapid fire volley several orbs at a time. And then he has I think his left shift is the Orb of Harmony, which is the healing orb. You essentially cast an orb over the shoulder of an ally, and as long as Zenyatta maintains line of sight, the orb slowly restores health to the ally. You can only put one orb on an ally at a time. The Orb of Discord is your E ability. Attaching the Orb of Discord to an opponent amplifies the amount of damage that they receive for as long as Zenyatta remains in line of sight. And only one opponent can have an Orb of Discord on at a time. And then essentially his ultimate ability is Transcendence. He grows like fucking 8 arms, or like 6 additional arms. And he enters a state of heightened existence for a short period of time, where essentially he just whips around and he's super fast, but he can't use abilities or weapons. But everybody in his little like glowing presence is immune to damage and automatically restores health, to all of his allies and stuff. So, yeah. I mean, a very well-timed Transcendence is aggravating, I guess I'll say.
It's true. I mean, there's really not much. The only thing that will get through a Transcendence is burst damage, like a Diva Bomb.
And even then, it won't kill a Zenyatta. It'll only kill the teammates.
No, it won't kill the Zen. No, it won't kill the Zen. Nothing kills the Zen. Zen's immortal.
Yeah. So now, you play a lot more competitive than me, as far as where you are in the meta, uh, who are the go-to healers
Um,
mainly, or is it very situational?
it depends on the team, but in most cases, I mean, healers that are never bad at higher levels. Zenyatta's never really bad at higher levels. Um, who else? I mean, Ana, Mercy still gets play because of that clutch res every now and again is pretty dope.
All right. Now, the basic team comp, has it changed, or is it still essentially 2 tanks, 2 healers?
No, that's definitely changed. I mean, people like when it's 2, 2, and 2, but that's not necessarily the team comp you always need and want in your life. Especially in this new meta coming out, like I think you're going to see a lot more like 3 DPS team comps now.
Yeah. And everyone's going to be Reaper.
I don't know about Reaper, but I mean, you're gonna, yeah. Not everybody obviously can't be Reaper, but you're gonna definitely get some Reapers in the house.
Yeah, because I mean, we'll go over that next week when we do the damage people, the DPS people. But from what you were telling me, the Reaper's getting a pretty significant buff, right? A boof.
Yeah, a boof.
A
He's getting a boof.
He's getting a
He's
boof.
getting a power boof.
So yeah, I mean, would you agree with their difficulty scores on this? Zenyatta and Ana being the 2 most difficult healers.
Ana
to
definitely, Zenyatta. I don't know about. I mean, Zenyatta. What makes Zenyatta so hard to play is just legit that he becomes really hard to. What you call it? Like if somebody dives a Zenyatta, you're kind of just screwed. And what happens? Like you just have to kind of take it because there's really not much you can do.
play? All right.
Because Zenyatta can't really get away. So, like, a lot of Zens at lower levels especially, like, the most important thing you can learn at higher levels is just knowing when you should die.
All right. What do you mean?
Like, for instance, if you're a, like, perfect example, like Iconwall, you're pushing the point, you're pushing the payload on Iconwall, and your team is, like, you're an Ana, or your team is, like, slightly ahead of you for some reason, and they all jump, they all get killed immediately for like a rip tire goes off and kills everybody but you. You should just jump off the map because all you're gonna do is you're gonna
res with your team.
You'll res with your team, and not only that, especially if you can't get away, just jump off the map. Just die as fast as possible, because what's gonna happen is if you can't res your team, they're just gonna farm you for ult charge. They're just gonna hit you for ult charge.
Right.
Which you don't want. You don't want to be hit for ult charge. Because ults win battles effectively.
Now, we kind of started talking about this last week, and I know we said it's more so going to come into play with DPS. As far as supports, if you're playing against these supports, are there certain characters that would counter these supports, and or which people, if you see these supports on, I mean, obviously people want to kill the healers first.
Yeah, the supports are our high priority targets. Supports and tanks. Like, nobody gives a fuck about DPS.
Right.
Like, in generally speaking, nobody really gives a shit about DPS.
Now, are there any type of like specific counters that you can think of for any of these particular supports? Like, I know Mercy, you're gonna want, somebody who can target, especially if she's flying around, like say with a Pharah. So you're gonna want somebody like a soldier, or
you really want, ideally, soldier's not great in that role, just because of soldier lacks. He does a lot of tickle damage, but he lacks like burst damage, and so like if you have a pocket Mercy on a Pharah or something like that, you're in a situation where you don't even want to deal with that.
So I mean, who would you use to counter these people then?
To counter like a Pharah Mercy, I would use like an Ashe Widowmaker. Widowmaker hard counters a Pharah easy.
What about say a Moira?
Counter a Moira?
Yeah.
Well, Moira's not hard to counter. Like, she's effectively a dead creature. She's effectively a dead creature if she can't land her whatchamacallit. Like if you can bait out her fade.
I love that
Fuck.
long. I loved that long pause there for a moment because I was like, "Wow, he really just shit on Moira. He just called her a dead creature."
I mean, she's kind of a dead creature if you can bait out her like Reaper. Just like Reaper, if you can bait out Reaper's fucking
His teleport.
no, not his teleport. His teleport's trash. That ability needs to get fucking removed.
No,
It's
not his Wraith Walk.
Yeah, his Wraith Walk.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how many
teleporter
times,
needs to-
especially
it's
recently, I've like gone to like teleport somewhere and just like instantly died.
Immediately you get headshot. Yeah,
Yep.
of course. That's what's gonna happen.
So
That's exactly what's gonna happen because it's terrible. It's a terrible ability. It needs to be quicker. Like it needs to be quicker or something else.
I don't think it necessarily needs to be quicker. What I think they should change is don't allow the enemy team to see where you're going.
That's one thing. I mean, it's
Like
not
put a
good
marker
ability.
down for you so you can see where you're about to teleport, but make it so no one else
It's not
can
a
see
great
it.
ability. Like it's just not a great ability.
It's good for map like it gets you around some cool places on a map. Like in on Attack on Dorado, I use it all the time to go up over that back wall to kind of get behind the enemy team. And then if by then, one or two of their members have died, I'll wait for them to come out of spawn and then I'll just keep killing them until the rest of the enemy team comes back for me.
Yeah, it's not.
It's very situational. I'll say that.
It's a borderline useless ability outside of like just getting out of spawn faster and getting to higher places. But like it's not because you can't even really like properly flame because it's really loud. Like especially a higher rank, like you hear that shit coming from a mile away. Like it's not like this special secret ability that you can't hear.
Yeah,
like you hear it come from a mile away. Like it's
I just think like maybe they should just like remove the ground effect on it, so that way a sniper can't see it from across the map and just wait until you pop in and then headshot you.
Yeah, I mean it's not. Reaper needs something else. I honestly think Reaper needs like I would like almost kind of like he does like a shadow pool. Like he walks up and does like a shadow pool, and then anywhere within that pool he can like quickly maneuver or some shit like that. Like that would be better. Or like he fucking like get like a CC or something like that. I mean, yeah, because I mean he's a tank buster. He's a tank buster. He's not really meant to be a flanker anyway. He's a tank buster. That's what he's for. So he doesn't really need to teleport. When he first came out, he was like the heavy flank. He was a heavy flanker. But now,
I know he's good at tank busting, but according to that angry ass Scotsman you had me watch, he is very much a flanker. That is his job.
See,
you are not supposed to be escorting that goddamn payload. If you're a Reaper,
well, no, you're not meant to escort
fucking
the payload. No, you're not meant to. You can play Reaper as a flanker, but you're supposed to be either with your team, like in the enemy's face, like in their face, or on a flank, but focusing on tanks as opposed to the squishies. Like you can kill the squishies, so that's fine, but you're not like if you're gonna run a Reaper and like a Tracer, you let Tracer deal with the squishies, you go for the tanks.
Right.
That kind of thing. However, I still don't like Reaper as a flanker 100% of the time. I think he's a situational flanker, but more of a frontliner. That's how I look at Reaper. More of a frontliner, but a situational flanker.
Right. How would you counter Zenyatta?
Just don't get discorded. Like, I mean, that's literally it. Like,
flank him, come up from behind him.
Yeah,
he is pretty squishy, even though he has armor.
He has no mobility. Zenyatta has zero mobility. Zero.
Yeah.
He is the least mobile. He is the least mobile of supports, hands down. Mercy is impossible to kill. Because as soon as Mercy's easy to kill if everyone's dead.
Yeah, because then she has nobody to fly to.
If no one's dead, Mercy is impossible to kill.
Right.
Like, hard impossible to kill.
How would you counter Lucio?
McCree.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You could stun him that way. Yeah. With the flashbang.
Easy stun. Just the easy clap, stun, flashbang, kill.
Yeah.
If not him, Ariza. Because of her halt.
Oh yeah, the orb thing too. Yeah.
Yep.
Fair. All right. I didn't think about those. Um, how would you counter Anna?
Anna? She's another one that's super squishy. If you get her, basically once you hear her nade go off, any type of like Winston works great against her. Because even if Winston does get her down, Winston can't. Even if she does sleep Winston, Winston can't kill her.
Right.
I mean, she can't kill Winston. I mean, sorry. It's a close fight, but because after her grenade goes off, she has no sustain. So she's either forced to just sleep you and run away, or she's forced to, what do you call it? But I mean, or she's forced to wake you up and take the fight. But she takes the fight, she loses most of the time. Where the only other one I would think that would be good too is Tracer. Pretty much Tracer, Widowmaker.
I was gonna say pretty much any of the snipers because a lot of the
Yeah,
times...
I mean, Ana can outsnipe. Ana can surprisingly duel.
Ana versus Hanzo.
Ana can easily win that fight.
Mainly because of the heal. Right?
The heal, and not only the heal, just that if the only way he has the advantage, especially if she just waits out the fucking Sonic arrow. If she waits out Sonic, where he won't know exactly when she's gonna pop out, there's really no reason.
And then lastly, Devin, for this evening's recording, is how would you counter Brigitte?
How would I counter Brigitte? That's an interesting question. You can't counter Brigitte. That's how you counter Brigitte. You don't.
Fair point. My girl.
I mean, there's not a good way to counter Brig. There's really not a great way to counter Brig. You can do it, but it's not a great way to counter Brig.
I mean, a lot of the times when I'm playing Brigitte, I'll get smashed by a Doomfist pretty hard. Doomfist can wreck me a lot. Like you said, especially if I'm near a wall. And then a well-placed Bastion. Like if I just can't get to the Bastion, my shield means nothing. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, Bastion counters everybody. Like,
I will say May too.
May
May's ice thing. May's ice thing goes
but it
right
won't
through
freeze
the
your
shield.
No,
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
She aims your feet. It doesn't go through your shield. Though.
Well, that's
like,
bullshit. The shield should go to the ground then. That's some bullshit. That's all I'm saying.
It shouldn't go through the feet like that.
Well, all I'm saying is that every time I try to hold up my shield, I just instantly start getting slower and slower and slower, and then I'm frozen, and then she shoots me in the face. So, and I don't understand. Whenever I'm playing against May, I'll get into this more next week. Whenever I'm playing against May, she'll freeze me, and then the second I'm frozen, she shoots me like once in the face, and I'm dead. Yeah. Whereas if I'm May, I'll freeze somebody like Reaper, right? And then as soon as they're frozen, I use my right click to icicle them in the face, and then they're not dead. Then they become unfrozen and murder me. It's like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, I think 250 is too much health. It won't work with it. I believe her icicle. Let me see. Icicle.
Devin.
What?
I hate May.
I love May.
Worst character in the game. Get rid of her.
No, Symmetra's the worst character in the game. 45 per second, 20 meters per second. How long does it take to freeze? After taking 30 hits. So it hits for... How long does it take to hit? I think 30 hits affected by damage buffs. A slow effect lasts 4 or 5 seconds. I'm trying to see how long it takes. It doesn't do that much damage overall. I think they're frozen in... want to say 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds. So they're frozen at about 55, 60 damage.
Okay.
So, I mean, and then the headshot does 150. So, best case scenario, let's say they're frozen at, you have to follow it up with a punch, the killer reaper, freeze them, unless you like tap freeze them, like tap them a little bit, let go, and then refreeze them again, and then hurry up and freeze them up after that, because then that'll progress it.
Okay.
But if you do that, you gotta follow it up with melee, because that'll be, let's say he's frozen at 60, and then 150 on the headshot, that's 210. Melee would still not be enough. He's 250, but I think it's longer than 60. I think it's like 75 damage frozen or something like that.
It's fucked up. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, because May should never lose to Reaper. I will say that.
Well, Devin, we've covered all the supports, and we had one less character to cover than last week.
And we went longer.
No. Actually, I think we went shorter. I don't remember how long we recorded last week. It was right around the hour mark, and we're hitting on an hour and 10 right now. So, but that is where we're going to end this episode. Sadly, I mean, I say sadly because I don't like breaking this up as it is, but the DPS, like you mentioned earlier, we might have to break into 2 separate episodes.
We will for sure.
Unless I can catch you on like a weekend and we'll just do one long DPS episode. Just to get it done. Because I'd prefer to do it as one episode, just so there's not fucking 4 weeks of Overwatch. But I also don't want to go and
I'm down for doing long episodes. I don't mind doing a long episode.
Yeah. I might steal you over the weekend or something to do that, because I don't want to break up and do other SUs in between these. I want to get through Overwatch as a whole. But I also don't want 4 fucking episodes in a row to be Overwatch, especially for people who don't particularly care for the game.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. I'll steal you over the weekend. We'll do just like a longer episode. So next week's episode, listeners, will probably be around the 2-hour mark. It's gonna be a lot of me and Devin. I guarantee you, if we're doing it on the weekend, we'll be playing a game. Probably Overwatch while we do it again. But yeah, so Devin, that's where we're going to end the episode this week. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
You guys can find me at DMP_Pookie and on Twitter at PooKilledMe.
And they can find me at Jax Forestwalker, all one word, on Twitter, and on Twitch at DMWebby, and on Instagram. Go follow me on Instagram. I post funny pictures. I don't know what my Instagram is, Devin. 52. I know that much.
Patrick.Webster52.
I can't remember my own name. Yeah, so until next time, everybody, man, fuck Booster Gold.
Fuck Symmetra.
And fuck Symmetra. Playing the outro music, Devin. We're talking over it like always. You are now. I lured you into that trap, didn't I?
No, I knew I was. I knew I would have been.
So, Devin, tell me how you really feel about Symmetra.
They can't get it right. How many fucking edits to get her ass right?
3. She's now a perfect character.